There he is. Oh, we're having the audio problem again.
No. Is that
There
infinitely better now?
Infinitely better, man. Excellent. Fuck.
Thanks, Comcast. This
All right.
is brought to you by your piece of shit internet.
Indeed, man. Anyways, you want to get right into this shit while we got some good web?
Yeah, let's rock it, dude.
All right, man. I'm Colin Lamb, of course. Welcome to Ween Talk, episode 18. And the title of this episode is Ween Fan Getting Into Fish Talks to Ween Fan Who's Already Into Fish. That's my working title for this video, man. But thanks for coming on again, Nick. Good to see you.
Dude, pleasure is mine. Love the show. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Let's talk about this Phish Ween adventure that you're on, man.
You know what? Actually, this Phish adventure seems to be more interesting to people than my Ween adventure, because definitely, like, there's way more people who are like getting involved in shit and stuff. And I will also say that Phish fans, at least based on their internet conduct, seem to be some of the friendliest people around. I don't know if that would change once I got into the into the balloon huffing scene or whatever it is, but this has been enjoyable to do, man. And so I'm gonna actually read something that you said. You said that you're a fan of both, but you can't do 3 nights of Phish anymore because, quote, you're not a dirty hippie. Can you elaborate on that?
The dirty hippie part was said kind of in jest. I can't do 3 nights of Phish anymore because Phish to me is very repetitive. In a sense, hear me out. In a sense of, like, Trey is amazing. I think I've put this on your site too within the dialogue. Trey is absolutely amazing. As individuals, all of the members of Phish are amazing.
Yeah.
But what they do together to me became very boring at some point. And I just didn't want to hear Trey go off for 14 minutes on a Wilson talking about some, game henge acid trip from the 90s, you know what I mean? So I guess I just changed musically a little bit. But I am a Phish fan. I am a Phish head. If I could fit into it, I would have wore my 2003 Phish 3 of a kind Vegas t-shirt, but that's in the college yearbooks. And that's it, man. I love Phish. I still listen to Phish, but I can't do 3 nights of them.
Yeah. And for anybody watching this episode later, we're doing an episode of Ween Talk where we talk about the similarities of the bands and stuff, and how there's a bit of cross-pollination, because there clearly has been on my small channel anyways. But what was it, Ween or was it Phish first?
For me, believe it or not, I saw Phish lots of times live before I ever saw a Ween show live. Yeah. The introduction to both, I'm not sure which was first, but they're relatively running same time, same group of friends, same shitty fucking college report cards, a lot of screwing around and missing class and playing frisbee golf and rolling dice.
Oh, the fucking disc golf. Are you still doing the disc golf, man? Because, like, the one thing that I'll have to say about all this is, like, I'm already obsessed with Ween, obviously, and I'm definitely getting into Phish, but I will fucking never throw a fucking disc golf game in my life. I guarantee you of that fact.
Man.
I can't do it. Why? What the fuck is going on there? What is disc golf and Phish? What's the connection there, please?
For me, there is no connection. It was just a way for us to, like, go to the local bar on campus, and then after a pitcher go burn a joint and not get busted by the campus cops, because at least we looked like we were throwing discs, but we were really out there probably smoking a joint. And so for me, I've never really played a lot of disc golf in my life, but I know Phish fans do, and they love it. They fucking love it. Is there anything parallel to that with, like, Ween? Do Ween fans do anything?
Well, Ween fans drink and consume drugs. That I can confirm for sure. There's a correlation there. But no, the disc golf thing is bizarre because it's not even like, I know a lot of people here in Vancouver and on the island, they're into the Grateful Dead and stuff like that. But the Phish thing and the golf, like, that seems to be like a secondary thing. Maybe I should ask them, but I had no idea that this was like an international phenomenon of, like, you hear all this game hen shit or enough of Trey's solos and all the dots connect in your head and you just, like, form a frisbee hand and you want to fucking throw discs around or something. I don't know what's going on.
I've never gotten it, and that's why I can't go to 3 nights of it. I can go to a night or two, I can get down and I can be a weirdo and all of that and dance in a little circle, but for the most part, I'm more of just a drink, eyes on the stage, fuck yeah, Mickey, kind of guy, Going to do
Yeah.
a lot of hula hooping or glow stick warring, which,
Yeah.
it's all here, dude. I
Oh,
got it's all here.
okay, that's definitely what I was looking at, actually, because that's one I wanted to see yours, because I think I'm gonna just get one online, because why the fuck not? I have nothing else to do. I'm not out going to the bars. I have the money. I should just get one. But also another question I had was, well, you'd actually proposed this question was, which fan base gets more blasted? Because in my opinion, it's definitely the fish heads, because I mean, because of the fish head term. Like my wife, she caught on, she made all on her own, believe it or not. She made the wiener to ween connection and started calling me a wiener. And I had told her that's not a term that is supported by any kind of happiness amongst Ween fans, as far as I can tell. But definitely the fish thing. Like, I don't know if you ever watched the show Broad City with those two.
No.
It's an HBO.
Well, actually, it's
Yeah.
like two girls working in the
Yeah.
city. Yeah, okay, maybe
Yeah,
I have.
they're really crude and crass. It's a fucking hilarious show if you ever get a chance to watch it. But the one girl, she's like a fish head, and it always kind of comes up, and it's kind of like something that she actively tries to hide from people. And interestingly enough, my former brother-in-law, a friend of mine, like, he liked fish, and it was this thing, like, it was like this alternate kind of identity that he had, because he would go to fish shows and shit. And I grew up with the guy I was friends with him. I'm like, who are you going to these fish shows with? And sometimes he would just be going by himself, or he had like a separate group of friends that were
Yeah.
just fish people. And the rest of us, like, I played hockey with him and shit like that. Nothing. Had no fucking idea about it. I'd actually like to talk to him about that. But I think that the fish fans definitely get more shit than Ween fans, for sure.
I think you're onto something there, because now going back into my deepest files of listening to Phish, that was a weird fucking group of friends that I was having back then, man. Like, what were we doing? We were just putting on albums and just kind of hanging out, and what the fuck? What? Yeah, wow. Holy
Yeah,
shit.
man.
I
Do
think
you see these people anymore? Do you still
no,
fret?
no.
Are they still out there, fucking discs flying through the air, and there's a disc that's thrown where you would have been standing and it just hits the ground? They're like, where the fuck did Nick go, man?
Dude, I'm in a state of like memoriam right now where I'm like, where is Anthony and where's Peter and where are all these guys that like I used to really jam a lot of Phish with, and
Yeah.
they were music guys. One of them was a guitar major and an amazing musician, and he was the one actually responsible for getting me into Phish. I probably could have told you 5 Phish songs total before I went and did a 3-night run in Las Vegas, which, to get to the question of whose fans get more blasted,
Yeah.
it would have to be Phish fans, man, because
Yeah.
I saw things at that concert that I'll never forget in my life, including being able to like hear the colors and see the sounds type of
Oh, okay.
blasting.
Yeah.
Like, really good. And I don't really go there often, never anymore, but
Yeah.
nevertheless, yeah, Phish fans super take it when it comes to who gets the most blasted as a group as well. It's a
Okay.
big prayer party.
Yeah, okay. I think you answered 2 of my questions there. I think I misunderstood what you meant by blasted. I thought you meant like outside criticism, but that kind of answers a question that I was going to ask as
Well,
well.
that too, yeah.
Yeah, I think that the Phish fans, I haven't been to a Phish concert, so I can't tell you if they get more wasted, but I can tell you, I mean, I've made fun of Phish fans without any understanding of what it is. Like, kind of like, like if you go to a big city, there'll be like a small suburb that everybody thinks is shit.
Right.
And if, it's like a running joke, oh, fucking somebody from this place is a piece of garbage and their family's bad, or something. Like, you just,
Frankville trash.
yeah, it's yeah. What's that? Shelbyville, the place in Springfield, right?
Yeah.
It's just that classic punch down. And definitely, though, amongst like Ween fans, I'll say that the thought of bringing up Phish is just like nah, don't sort of do that. And I'll also say that I have friends now that I found out that are really into Phish that I wasn't aware of prior to starting to do the show, because just on Facebook and stuff like that. So they popped up, and definitely a lot of people popped up. So I'm thankful for everybody's input. And I didn't know that you were that far in either. And the guy that I had on the last show, Dr. Scorpion, he does the Learn to Weed channel. He's a funny guy.
He was great.
He messages me. He was going to come on with the Ween thing, and then when I did the Phish thing, he's like, why the fuck don't we talk about Phish from Vermont or whatever? What's Phish from? I know obviously they're from Vermont, but is that something that people refer to them as, Phish from Vermont?
No, I don't. I mean, they're synonymous with Vermont because, let's be honest, fuck else do you talk about when you're from Vermont?
Mm.
But nevertheless, I've never been to Vermont, but Yeah, I mean, dude, I don't know. Like, Phish has been around for so long. We're talking about almost like a cultural phenomenon.
Yeah,
Like you said, like you were able to make fun of Phish fans, but you really didn't know anything about Phish because they've been
yeah,
lumped into this whole thing about being a hippie and what it is to be a hippie. So,
yeah,
I mean, for me, and I said because I'm not a dirty hippie, right? That was my comment.
yeah,
Because I just don't want to hang around and pretend that I'm homeless for 3 days.
yeah,
That's the vibe. It's really
yeah.
neat.
Yeah, there's definitely that sort of thing. Yeah, I mean that sort of thing's kind of permeated a lot of like the culture festival and all these
Right.
people dressing as like high-end vagabonds and stuff with strange leather fucking accessories. Anyways, that's a whole other show and it's kind of erotic. So I'm not going to go any further into that. But let's move along here. So, funniest show memory from both Fiend and fuck. Funniest show memory from both Ween and Fish. I got a couple too that I can tell, but yeah, I'll let you get started.
Um, I'll give you my Phish story first. Uh, since you don't have one, you mentioned you haven't seen them yet.
I'm just gonna
Someone
retell
told,
yours as though it was mine. So because I'm
okay.
you use the term trustafari, and I'm just gonna start assuming this identity, this
Well,
Fish.
believe it or not, I was with a Trustafarian
Yeah,
when I went to my first show. We actually drove his dad's Corvette Z06. I'm a fucking sophomore in college,
yeah,
out to Las Vegas. Get there, meet up with another friend of ours, older guy, older than the other kid, who drove his motorcycle through Zion National Park or whatever, meets us at the show, right? Well, I am in shock at the first thing that I see, which is Shakedown Street in Las Vegas for my first Phish shows. And I'm
yeah,
pretty square at this point. I'm really not into jam band music. I've been hanging out with this other group of kids, whatever you want to say. I'm growing. And
yeah,
so I'm on Shakedown Street and I see nothing but patchwork pants from the start to the finish,
yeah,
more dreadlocks than I could have ever imagined, little kids running around barefoot. Long story short is we end up getting a bunch of mushrooms and eating them. And my friend, the older guy who was riding the motorcycle, passed out stiff on his feet. He's like 6'4". I'm 5'10" on a good day. I
yeah,
can't really hold him up. I'm tweaking out a little bit myself.
yeah.
And my buddy gets taken backstage and gets to kind of meet Phish in
Yeah.
like the rehabilitation room.
Oh God.
And we don't see him after the show. We get in the cab line and we go back to the hotel room. And who comes strolling in the hotel room, still with the bag of mushrooms in his pocket? My friend Mike, who got to go backstage at a Phish show. That's my best Phish first impression, first concert, biggest party of my life,
Yeah.
maybe. All those things. That was Phish, the introduction to Phish for me.
I'll bet you that's an even better story for him too. Jesus, that's if that's what it takes, Nick, you just didn't have it, man. You should have
I
gone a little
wasn't ready
further.
for it.
Yeah.
I was so green. I was so wet behind the ears, and I was with these old
Yeah.
Phish bros. And like before I know it, things are starting to get really wavy, and I've never heard this kind of guitar before.
There's too
And then
many notes. There's too many
yeah,
notes.
yeah. I mean, I got the stub right here, man, in the book. That's the only
Yep.
thing this book is doing, by the way. Maybe you give me your address. It could be a little Christmas gift.
Oh
This
shit.
thing is just a kick down. I think it's like a second edition, but I'd be more than happy to send it to you.
Too
But that's
kind.
my Phish story. That's
Yeah.
my Phish story, man. And I don't know if I ever want to feel or go through anything like that again. We thought for sure my buddy went to jail for, having fucking mushrooms in his pocket.
Yeah.
But no, not only did he get himself together and drink a glass of orange juice, but he was able to somehow get to the New York, without further abrasion. Wow.
The New York. I have a bad memory in there, but it wasn't Ween or Fish related. I just was on a bachelor party and I kind of rendered myself into a similar state. Or actually, I don't know if it was the New York, or if it was the casino with the Eiffel Tower in it. I can't remember which one, but there was
Ooh,
some.
the patty.
Yeah, there was some kind of activity, like a tourist activity, and it was like 4 a.m, and I was standing outside of it. I think it was in the New York one or something like that. And I was asking people like, "How do I get in there? Like, what would I do?" And then the security guard was like, "You just wait right there. You just wait right there." And then I
Sure.
stood there waiting. I was like, "All right, I'm gonna get in." And then something clicked in my head. I'm like, "Oh, the fucking some security or the cops are coming." I fucking
Yeah.
booked it out of there. But anyways, not Ween or Fish related. What about a Ween story?
A Ween story. Um, I think I told my first Ween story on the other interview. Hey, that's not fair, man. I'm calling you out. You got to give me yours now.
All right, all right. I'll give you the Ween story. And this is actually a brief story. It's not spectacular. And it's actually a story that angered me initially. This angered me for years. And then I actually talked to Dr. Stone and Focus, or whatever the fuck he wants to call himself, in the last one. And we actually stopped recording. We were just talking. I should have left it recording because I remembered this story. I was down in Nashville. Did you go to the Nashville shows two years ago?
No, I caught the Atlanta 2-night run right after it.
Yeah.
I didn't know you then, man. I would have probably.
No. Dude, I went down by myself to Nashville. I was at the Ryman, and that was worth the trip in itself to go to the Ryman. And they're all like, they're church pews basically, and they're numbered. So I think it was seating. Yeah, it was definitely numbered seating. So I sat there by myself, and I got there early, and people were kind of filling in, and I met a nice couple from like Arkansas or something like that. And then this guy and his girlfriend, they were kind of floaty kind of people, sat down beside me. And anyways, the show went on, and they were doing Johnny on the Spot, and it was the big like raging solo section, which is basically like just Dean like trying to kill his guitar, right?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's just raging, and it keeps building. And my phone rang in my pocket, and I saw it was a buddy of mine, this guy that I know, Rick, and I knew that he liked Ween, and he didn't know I was down there, so I thought it'd be good to like take the phone out and open it up. And he probably couldn't hear anything. It probably just clipped and distorted. But then I was drunk too, so I was screaming. I was like, yeah, it's fucking Ween or whatever. And this guy next to me, who I didn't know, he like turned to me like with the most scornful look on his face, and I think that this guy was selling drugs and shit and giving drugs out. Like, he seemed like a chill dude, but he turned to me like with this scorn. And I felt like 4 years old, like shrunken. I was probably a foot taller than this guy, but he looked over at me with such disdain, and he leans in, and he kind of like, he didn't grab my cuff, but he kind of put his hand on me, and he's like, "Don't disrespect the Johnny." And I was like, whoa. And like, I was a little drunk, and I can be a little confrontational. So like, there was this debate in my head at the time, like, nobody's going to lay fucking hands on me. And then there was another voice that was like, "Don't get kicked out of Ween." And then now that like some time has gone by, I picture that guy, and he's just like, "Don't disrespect the Johnny." He had like this rainbow cowboy hat with like a ponytail on the back of it. And like, I was talking to Dr. Scorpion, and who insists that I call him these things, by the way. This isn't my deal. But anyways, I was talking to him, and like, I can see the humor in that. And then I was kind of like, yeah, I was disrespecting the Johnny, I guess, in hindsight. So there's other stories, but that one to me is the best, just because like the dead fucking serious, like, "Don't disrespect the Johnny." It's fucking just ingrained in my mind. So
That's solid, man.
yeah.
I'm gonna probably think about that every single time I hear and or play "I'll Be Your Johnny on the Spot." I'll just think to myself, don't fucking disrespect the Johnny.
Well, you could stop the song full stop and just scorn somebody out of the room like that. So
that's deep. That's deep. That's gonna be tough to follow, but I think I've got one. I'm not going to incriminate myself with a different story. We'll save that for my third guest appearance. But, what's the most incriminating thing you ever done at a Ween concert? But I'll give you one from Chicago Aragon Ballroom
what year is that?
Halloween 2017, I believe. I believe it was. Yeah, it's 17. So I meet up with a friend of mine. That's over the Halloween weekend, and he manages a really cool bar in Chicago. And, he's showing me around town. I really feel like a purse, but nevertheless, we're going to Ween on Halloween. And that's kind of like my appreciation trip for him, having me out just to fucking party and be a good friend. So we get to the show, and he's never really been into Ween. He's heard a few of their tracks. He was like decent enough to check it out. He was like, yeah, these guys are going to be fucking great. Really super positive about it. And we get there, so we're kind of standing towards the back because he doesn't want to get too close to the crazy. He kind of wants to observe the crazy first.
Yeah. Smart man.
And I guess we're right on the fucking borderline of Crazyville, because the kids in front of us are melting away. Melting away. And they're like doing the rock back move and like kind of bumping into a little bit, turning around and being like, that kind of move. His eyes are barely open. And so my friend says finally to me in like the middle of the show, he's like, "Well, do you want to move, or should we go ahead and call those kids some help? Because I don't want them bumping into the wrong guys that aren't us." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that to me was another really good example of like the overall vibe at a Ween show, you know?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
we're all blasted, but we're all kind of looking out for each other. But at the same time, my buddy didn't want to babysit some kids who were like weirding out on him. So that's
No.
probably my best and most recent, like, wow, those kids were really melted story from a Ween show.
Yeah, I saw a lot of people like that at the reunion. I've told a couple of stories I won't tell again, but yeah, at the reunion, I think there were people. I mean, I think it might be an age thing as well because I don't know how old
Yeah.
you are, but I'm not 24 anymore, right? So
Being
I want to remember, especially for somebody like me. I'm coming down from the frozen fucking tundra to see this shit. You know, it's all your dollar's so fucking expensive. All I can do is enjoy the show and maybe afford a couple of Budweisers. But yeah, I don't get like that at shows anymore. But man, there were some people there. They fucking if you would have told them they were at a Ween show, they probably would have been like, I'm at a Ween show, like fucking just paralytic, man.
Yeah, it's the party of which it brings, dude. It's something that's hard to put your finger on unless you've done it, unless you've been in it. Whether you're partaking and to what degree is always interesting as to what you remember from the shows as well. You
Yeah,
know, because I've dressed up in full costume, but basically had a couple of cocktails and had a great show. You
yeah.
know, where I've also done shows in earlier years where I don't remember much of the show, but I certainly remember that night.
Yeah, yeah. I mean that was a reunion for me. Night 1 and 2, I got fucking annihilatedly drunk, and then I think the second night or something like that, my phone died, and I was lucky to get a ride home with some people. But then that third night, I was like, I'm just gonna fucking take it easy here and enjoy this, and I did. Night 3 was fucking fantastic. I'm gonna ask you another hard hitting question here.
Do it.
Okay, so with each band, with Ween and Fish, obviously, which do you prefer the studio albums? Like, do you prefer, for example, for Fish, do you like their studio albums better than the live stuff? And with Ween, do you like the studio albums better than the live stuff, or is there a distinction? Because I would say with Fish, before you get started, I really like the studio stuff that I've heard, but I think the live stuff might be where it's at for Fish, and finding those like the song Simple that I absolutely love right now,
Mhm.
finding the best version like that is like something that I'm ready to do, because the first version I heard, I really loved the song. Then I heard another version, I was like, this is way better than that. And then somebody on the page in a comment, check out this show, and the fucking Simple at that show was even better. And I'm like, wow, this isn't gonna end. So I like the live stuff better than the studio stuff that I've heard. Whereas with Ween, I prefer the studio stuff because I think it's fucking as good as any studio music ever made. So
I'm in agreement with you there. For me, with Ween, I can just listen to the studio stuff all day long. Um, Not to replace the experience of being at a Ween show,
yeah,
because there's nothing that could do that. But I'm a Ween studio fan. I like when we play Ween, to play it as close to the studio version as we can.
yeah,
I like to listen to the studio stuff. With Fish, I really didn't listen to a lot of the studio stuff with Fish to begin with. I was brought into, you know, that group of buddies that I'm talking about incessantly here, where we just always listened to shows and we just traded shows back and forth.
yeah,
And you know, the kind of the kids' house who we always used to go to had like the first 50 live Fish shows, like the CD liner jackets framed. Like he was a total Fish head.
yeah,
You could ask him anything about the band and he knew it. And that's how I got brought into them. And so I would go live with Fish because there's so much more live stuff, I think,
yeah,
out there just to be had.
yeah,
And it's amazing because their style has changed so much, and they do, you know, relatively keep it, like you're saying, was Simple, the
yeah.
song Simple. You know, they keep changing it, and there is always different wrinkles and different jams, and that's what's great about this book that I'm going to send you, man. Is
If
it'll
you were trying to give me the book, I swear you were trying to sell the book. Cause
No, I'm
yeah,
telling you, this thing's
yeah,
great because it's got a whole section in here, song by song, of every
yeah.
single version that they've done. And
Wow.
that'll help a guy like you know, find the versions that you like and learn a bunch of these Trustafarian-esque glossary terms
Yeah,
that
yeah.
are going to help you in the lot so you don't
Yeah.
look like a custy.
Okay. Those are good answers. So you prefer the with Fish live, and you are a studio guy for Ween. And on
100%.
that note, kind of a question that kind of wraps that up nicely is Fish's version of Roses Are Free. I got to say, there's probably been about 20 separate kind of comments referring me, which I appreciate, of people saying, if you're into Ween, check out Fish's version of Roses Are Free. And I have to say, I don't like it at all.
Yeah.
I'm not feeling it because I love that song, and the live version that they did at the reunion when the fucking confetti shot out.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe as time goes by, I think the confetti shot out for every song, but I'm pretty sure it was Roses Are Free on the first night. And that's fucking stellar. And my tribute band also does a version of it that's closer to the Ween thing, but I just think the Phish version, it's kind of it's it doesn't have strong bones, or I don't know how to describe it. It's fluffy to me. I don't like it.
Fluffy. That's a perfect word for it. Fluffy.
Yeah.
It's a fluffhead version of the original.
Yeah,
That's another Phish song.
because there's something even like that. Another thing that I love about Ween is that there's such a, it's like an underlying level of sarcasm that borders on a little bit of cruelty in Ween, and it's
Yeah.
like, it's, you don't really know, you don't know what's in there, and that's what I love about that. So for a band to play Ween, it's a reach, but it's kind of the thing that got me doing the Phish thing and getting into that. So I'm thankful to that. Now,
Didn't Mickey say that we being Ween, we gave Phish that song kind of thing, like, but we would never cover a Phish song? Isn't that
yeah,
what Mickey
he
said?
said something to that effect. But I also read something, and I read so much shit. I should really bookmark this shit. But I read on Reddit or something, something along the lines of that. And we could probably use the companion and the Brown Tracker site to figure this out. But I saw something that said that Phish played Roses Are Free live before Ween did. And then on that basis, Ween was like, oh, well, if they can do it, we can do it too. I don't know if that's true, but we could actually find that out
Really?
with the companion.
I'm not going to do it right on
No, no,
live
no. Let's
interview here, but
let's
that's the first thing I'm doing when I say
yeah.
adios. That's for sure.
Let's
That's
actually, after the call, just hang on, and I'll go to Brown Tracker and find the Ween show, and then you can
yeah.
find that. Anyways, that would not be compelling internet. But moving along, so on that companion there, so this is probably a huge fucking topic, but a number of people had said in the comments of the other video, they were like, you need to read the Helping Friendly book. And another guy was like making fun of it. He's like, Wilson, some fucking friendly book. Who gives a shit? I don't think he was into.
Yeah.
And actually, I kind of want to talk to people who might hate Phish. I think that'd be a good episode too. But the Helping Friendly book. Am I wrong here? It doesn't exist. It exists in the lore of whatever game engine is, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It's part of the whole grandiose story of Gamehenge and the evil Wilson and the famous Mockingbird. And how much time we got here?
Yeah, I don't think we can go fully into it. I don't even know how long this is. Doesn't really matter, because people can watch whatever they want to watch, or they can skip forward. That's their fucking problem. But
It's a whole thing. Like when you were talking about Ween's sarcasm of maybe like, making a joke out of stepping on a piece of shit and writing a song about it.
yeah,
I would say that same level of sarcasm and brownness is where Phish kind of like gets into the fantasy, you have taken way too many hits of acid kind of realm, of which is their world. It is their band. It is
yeah,
their song. It is their music. And it all fits together beautifully. And it takes a while to understand it all because it's so deep and there's so much music to listen to get it. But I would say those are the kind of parallels where I think I like both bands.
yeah.
To answer a question maybe you didn't even ask me, like,
Yeah.
I like the sarcasm and I like the different styles of music, but I also like that almost Lord of the Rings-esque story that goes with some of this shit.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I got to get into that for certain. And another question that I actually had was about, I mean, there's a lot there with Gamehenge. Dr.
Totally.
Ramiro Scorpio Breath is going to talk to that about me. But another question that somebody alluded to in the comments, actually somebody broke this down, and actually it was the same guy, and another person did this sort of same thing. They kind of talked about the eras of Phish, like the brightness of the late 80s and early 90s. And then he kind of alluded to that, and I did a little bit of research on it, but like this dark age of Phish where they got consumed by drugs. So like what's your, like, did you experience that like in person? Did you see them play at that point, or were you later in the game?
I mean, I'm later in the game as far
Yeah.
as really seeing them, but I've listened to a lot of it. And as
Yeah.
far as an era that I really like, I'm like a late 90s guy.
Yeah.
I really like the guitar that's going on during that stretch, and I like some of the longer improvs that Trey was kind of building with Mike, the bassist, and and of course Fishman. I'm sorry, Claude, but Fishman is my favorite drummer.
Yeah.
Claude does so much with so little, whereas Fishman's kind of got the kit like me, so I got to go with Fish.
Yeah.
But
Claude sometimes it looks like he could be elsewhere when he's playing. I don't know, like
yeah,
it doesn't look like it's a problem for him. And it's like the one-handed shit that he does sometimes.
oh yeah,
And I'd like to see him play some other stuff. If I don't know if he's in any other projects, but
I've seen Claude pull off some fucking tremendous solos, man. The one in Chicago, that Halloween show that I mentioned with my buddy who couldn't believe how toasted those kids were. Never, like he did like a 12-minute solo, and my buddy who had never seen Ween before just looked at me and was like, "That was fucking sweet."
yeah,
Like holy shit! Like I got to use the bathroom. That was
yeah,
unbelievable. I feel a little queasy.
yeah,
Claude did so much out of so little. Um, but as far as eras go, I'm a late '90s Phish guy. I think they were really on fire then. And as far as Ween goes, the live stuff that I've seen via YouTube and a couple of like documentary style videos that are out there, it seems like the more, how do I put this, fucked up Jeaner was,
yeah,
the more fun and the more rockin' the band was. That's not to say that now that Jeaner's cleaned up his act that they're still not fucking great,
yeah,
but it looked like shit was like cranked up, like preamp was on fire back then.
yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean?
Yeah, well, you can just see it, and I mean, it's almost like anything. When things are just on the edge of fucking chaos,
Yeah.
there's something at risk for the band and for the audience, and it teeters and teeters. And obviously, I was there the night where it fucking went and just fucking teetered right into the gutter. But I don't
Totally.
know. I've liked like that was my first show, and I wish I could have seen some of the other stuff, but I don't know. And on that note, I think the final question I'm going to ask you is like, and I'm going to use a metaphor here, but like, am I the last guy to pack his family into a stagecoach and be like, we're going out west to get gold? And then I show up, at these Phish fucking shores, and it's just, there's no gold left, and I'm eating garbage, and I have to sell my wife and eat one of my children. And it's a depressing trip for me. Is there anything left in Phish for a newcomer is what I'm going to ask.
Absolutely, man. Phish is an adventure. It's a whole entire, I mean, some people have dedicated their whole life to it.
Yeah.
For me, I got off the bus after a while because it got tiresome and I got sick and tired of the crowd, if you will. But there's a lot left, man. There's a lot left. There's a lot to learn from all of them. Honestly, as musicians, they're incredible, and I'm still a big Phish fan. Don't get
Yeah.
that wrong. Whenever I've said something, funny or maybe derogatory about a hippie or patch pants or
Yeah.
one footers, any of these things, it's like it's just a lifestyle. Phish
Yeah.
picked up where the Grateful Dead left off,
For sure.
and that type of dedicated, lifelong, do anything for the band as long as we got food type of mentality is to be appreciated too. It's just part of rock and roll culture, man. And I think that Phish has done a great job with it. And I love Phish, but I don't
Yeah.
want to see 3 nights of the shit in a row. Don't count me the fuck out. You can
All
have
right.
my Sunday ticket, man.
All right. Well, fuck, man. I think that's as good of a poignant place to kind of end this episode of Ween Talk. So thank you for doing the Ween Talk. I'm gonna keep you on here. We're gonna check out that Brown Tracker shit and see
Yeah,
figure out who
definitely.
played first. And I'll put that in the comments below there if we figure it out. But very nice to have you, man. And do you have anything to say before this episode's over?
Just let's beat COVID together as a species. We got to beat this thing, man, because I need
Ween Talk stands for against COVID.
God damn it. Can we get to celebrity to endorse this and sing some cheesy fucking song and I can have my 2 seconds of heal the world?
Yeah. And I'm going to close by the episode by saying I'm sick and fucking tired of drinking alone. All right. That should be. Oh, did I stop it? No, I